Hello and welcome to episode 117 of Masters of the Forge. I'm here joined with Jason.
Ew.
And Mike.
Hi.
Oh, we're all in person. Yay!
We're all in the same room.
Isn't that nice? We're all here together. Being awkward in the same podcasting space. Isn't that nice?
That is very nice.
Yeah. So,
Do you have to sit on my lap, though?
That's what you paid for.
Jason went on an adventure this week. You've spent many hours in Chicago for no reason.
Hey, yeah, man, you know, it's all fun and games. 21 hours of layover are amazing, especially when you can actually see the plane still at the gate, and you're just hanging out saying, hey, can you let me in?
No,
yeah, lots of fun.
You're not allowed. Fantastic, and we were joking. We were like, Mike might get here before Jason. That's not good.
It's close.
Yeah, it was like one of those 1970s like wacky racer movies kind of thing.
Cannonball Run.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking the whole way across. I'm gonna beat him.
Dun dun dun! Captain Chaos.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So good.
It's also
Dom
like
DeLuise, yeah.
it was a
Dom
good Top Gear
DeLuise.
episode or something like that too.
This is so good. So, Mike, did you do any? I mean, he asked, knowing. Did you do anything to prepare for this week's escapades?
Did I? Yes. Let's see. I painted a Stormlord. Technically I painted a Valkyrie, but I didn't bring it. And I painted how many? It was like five vehicles up. A Chimera, 2 Wyverns, a Manticore, and a Thunderer, which is like a Forge World unit.
It's only the past couple weeks too, right?
Yeah, like those
it.
tanks I started basically, like about a week, 2 weeks ago.
You have a really interesting scheme. Like, it's this green and white camo. What's the inspiration for it?
Well, being Canadian, I decided to do like a Canadian themed army, but not like, I'm gonna do red and white and Maple Leafs all over the place. I wanted to do like a winter scheme. That's what it's meant to be.
Yep. Yeah, like a tundra type scheme, like brown.
Yeah.
A few browns, but mostly green and white.
Yeah. Instead of browns, I use grays. But yeah, it's
it.
basically
Brown grays. That makes a lot of sense because it's like, like a rocky, but like with maybe some like conifers and whatever type of thing.
Yeah. And so that's why if you look at some of the bases I've started doing properly, you'll see like I have like little black spruces and stuff like that.
Nice.
Kind of
Yeah. Your sentinels have some like trees.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love your army. It's so great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, and thanks again for coming all the way out to play games with us.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Any excuse to get on the road. No problem.
Awesome. Jason, you had some preparations. You've been crushing it with the airbrush. Pushing your ham sandwiches and whatnot.
Yeah, getting the Badger Patriot, shooting gravel.
You mean the Toyota Corolla of paintbrushes?
Yeah, that's the one. I do have 2 paintbrushes. I have the 105, the Patriot 105, and the Iwata Eclipse, and they are 2 very different brushes. Mm-hmm. Like if I switch between the 2, I have to spend like about a minute, reworking the fine muscle controls. Like, oh yeah. I pull back too far, it's going to do that. All right, cool. But yeah, I painted up the Venator. That used to be a Blood Ravens vehicle. I see the humor and the subtlety and the whatever from going from Blood Ravens to Raven Guard. But right now, my Blood Ravens, when I look at them, like I can do better.
Yeah. Yep, I hear you.
I can do a lot better.
Yeah,
so.
my Chaos Space Marine's the same for me.
Yeah, Black Legion was the one you were bothered. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, that's why I didn't do I totally sold off all my Space Marines. I'm like, this is unacceptable. I can do better than this, and I'm very happy I did.
I've been slowly stripping the ones from the Blood Ravens.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of characters I'll keep in those colors because right before I switched over to the airbrush, I felt my regular brush painting had gotten to a pretty nice place where I was really happy with it. But it's one of those things like all my tactical Marines where I did first and was like, oh boy. So
that's cool. So yeah, I did manage to get the 3 Meganobs painted and the Big Mac painted, and and a one weird boy painted for our event. Yeah. So that basically is all of my actual orcs. I still have some Diggas left to do, and I still have some demon orcs still to paint. That's actually what I'm working on right now. I've got 14 more pink horror proxies and what counts as really, and what's this, 1 2 3 4 5 6 more blood boys and the herald on disc, which is just probably one of my favorite conversions anyways. It's a cold one, so that's what the savage, or sorry, the cold ones are what the Saurus warriors ride.
Okay.
And then the tail is the what do you call it? The skinks ride the pterodons.
Okay.
Something like that. And then the head is a boar, but I've done some green stuff to like the hair going down the back.
Okay.
To make it a little more seamless. And then the rider on top is just a savage orc boar rider guy. And I gave him the Night Goblin half moon at the top of his staff to make him a little bit more spellcasty. And then I gave him a Grey Knight book. I don't know what he's going to do with the book, because he probably can't read.
Probably just eats it.
He does have a rule that he gets a +1 to his casting if he reads out of the book. So maybe he just stabs the book. It's like, give me your magic book, and he stabs it.
He's like, I don't know how he just displays in front of himself like this.
Yeah.
You know, he's just kind of like.
He lets the other people you want to go with. We could like put crayons on there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like just like draw on it or something. Yeah. These pink horrors, this time around I actually glued the bows onto their hands instead of like close combat weapons, because these guys shoot. So I think I'm going to paint them like bright green, say they're warpstone.
Yeah.
And like just to signify the fact that they have that shooting attack. So that's where I'm at with those.
That'd be a good contrast also.
Mike and I just received delivery on our commission that we're going to be doing for Toys for Tots. So we're doing it with John Skip. We're doing it for the freebooters. And so, listeners, if you've ever wanted to try the Blood Angels / what are we doing these as?
Flesh tears.
Flesh tears. Yeah. If you ever wanted to tear any flesh, you should bid on our army come November-ish. I plan on being done by the end of the summer. Yeah, because I don't want it to. I have other projects, so I'm gonna crush these models. So like I have an assault squad. I have like a weird like tactical squad thing, and I have one dreadnought. You have what?
I have the dreadnought, just a standard dreadnought, a chaplain, a sanguinary priest, and a 10-man assault squad. And I'm also going to add a librarian dreadnought.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Maybe something else.
Yeah, I said I was going to add something too, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, do you remember what it was?
Was it Gabriel stuff?
No, I wasn't doing characters. John's doing characters because he's kind of more detail oriented. Yeah, Toys for hold on. I'm gonna. I forgot I made a Trello board for it. This is very exciting. Primaris captain, but instead, what are you just gonna do? You're just gonna do the chaplain.
Yeah, because So
I'm gonna change that to chaplain.
Well, plus we already have a couple of captains, so I don't think we need to. If he's gonna do say Gabriel Septa and Terminator captain, then when that's. All
right, I'll move that to gray plastic. So you're going to do a Libby Dread. John's going to, like, find some kind of flyer thing. And I'm going to do... I'm going to add a infantry squad, maybe some Primaris, Plasmans, Intercessors.
You should... I would highly recommend doing just, Intercessors. Like a 5-man squad of Intercessors.
Yeah, something like that.
Or two 5-man squads. And that way you got battalion, right?
Yeah, so that's probably a good idea. Maybe I'll do that. I'll get Intercessors instead of Plasma guys. That way, like I said, you can fill out a battalion. And I was also going to... There were a few extra models, and I'm going to make a Slamguinius model, which is... In the game is... Blood Angels use that model. It's just a captain with a thunder hammer and a storm shield and a jump pack. That way they can like just kill certain threats like flyers and they can tie up like I heard Paul Murphy talk about how he used one captain with jump pack to tie up 3 basilisks once. Because the way they were arranged, they were stuck in like some terrain in like a U formation. He just jumped in between them because it's just one guy on a 32 mil base, and you can do that.
Yeah.
So okay, great. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be working on that. But I'm really looking forward to, like, I have these Imperial Knights that I have. I'm pretty sure I can crank those out in a week. So we'll fit those in somewhere. So, what do you guys have coming up? I mean, you have that, but you were also thinking about some Harlequins?
Yeah, I don't know. I listened to Splinter Mind podcast, and
that's right.
That Harlequin episode is just got my spirits up. I didn't know what I was doing, and all of a sudden I joined up their Patreon. I said I want in, and now I'm painting Harlequins, and I thought I could buy Harlequins here.
We don't have any Harlequins.
Yeah, the flip side game didn't have any Harlequins, unfortunately. So I'll have to buy some on my way back. But yeah, I gotta pump out not only these flesh tearers, but Harlequins as well.
There's a lot of good. I'm not sure about on a Sunday, but there are a lot of good. Or tonight. Yeah, I'm not sure if there are any good.
By the time I'm going home, they're all going to be closed. But like Millennial Game, there's a really good one, Comic Zone in Syracuse, and Millennial Games in Rochester.
Cool.
So
cool. Jason, what do you got on deck? What are you going to be working on?
Well, so my birthday is coming up, and I was given some money to my family. Ooh. And so I bought that Renegade box yesterday.
Sweet. How are you going to get it home? You're flying.
That's right.
I told Jason to leave his pants here.
Yeah, that wasn't subtle at all. But yeah, I think I can get it home. I've already tested it in my bag, so
nice. All right, cool.
It's going. You know, if I have to leave stuff between here and
you also get that sweet terrain with it too.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's terrain.
Yeah, the galvantic something or another.
Yeah. Magma vent.
Like
Some kind of vent and magma involved. I'm not sure.
It's like a little furnace thing on it.
Super sweet. Yeah. All right, cool. So this episode we're going to be talking about our Apocalypse game that we played yesterday, and but before that we're going to listen to some messages. July 28th through the 29th, Hogtown 40K is proud to present the first inaugural Hogtowner. The Hogtowner is 6 rounds of far future mayhem spread out over 2 days at the Polish Combatants Hall, the SPK, at 206 Beverly Street, Toronto. Tickets are only $115. We're down to the last few openings, so act fast. With the weight of the full Hogtown 40K community behind this event, there's no shortage of excellent prizes for players and painters alike. Custom missions and lots of shenanigans. On both days, a dope grilled cheese food truck lunch will be provided for all attendees, as well as a light breakfast and coffee. Additionally, the venue space is licensed with a cash bar. Huge thanks to our presenting sponsors, The War Painter and The Sword and Board. For more info, please contact the Hogtowner at gmail.com. That's the Hogtowner at gmail.com, or find us on Facebook. Be kind, have fun, and kill or be killed. Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke en bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer en bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said.
And we're back. So, why don't I read the little write-up I had for the event, and we'll go into we'll do a pause so that Mike can go get his thing that he wrote up.
Oh yeah.
12:30.
Oh no.
Do we have to make a note?
He'll never remember. Okay.
No, I'm not gonna remember.
So, while Jolteef hasn't been seen in the Ultima Segmentum since the Pain Boss was deposed by War Boss Crackbone after a series of rather abysmal defeats, Doc Jolteef's death has never been confirmed, and while remnants of his warband have been plaguing the Southern Fringe for decades, of Jolteef himself only rumor and conjecture have been found. Since the emergence of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the imaginations of mad boys and weird boys throughout the galaxy have been piqued. The rank and file have been more keen to hear out their plans and aspirations. As such, Jolteef has been consolidating his power and has finally assembled enough boys to gather some momentum. His Wa has once again began its inexorable march to the galactic north towards Ultramar. Only the fortress world of Ongrath stands between Jolteef and his conquest. Ongrath is a hardened outpost of Ultramar. Although it is a relative backwater, its defenses are formidable. The world has repelled periphery threats for millennia. It hasn't always held, but the Imperium always returns to take it back. Any warlord bent on taking Ultramar from the south must first take Ongrath or risk having a major enemy in a position to strike their supply lines. What's more, the cache of material available at Ongrath is just too much for Jolteef to ignore. So basically, it's this fortress world on the periphery, on the edge of Ultramar. That, you know, when you think about a fortress world, it kind of doesn't make any sense from a galactic perspective because you just go around it.
Yeah,
it's not like there's a wall in space that we make the squats build or whatever. But what you do get is if it's a heavily fortified world with lots of fleet assets, if you let that sit there, you're gonna have some trouble if you try to take worlds deeper in Ultramar, because they're gonna be hitting your supply lines, they're gonna be hitting you from the flanks. So you want to get rid of it.
We didn't have any Ultramarines yesterday.
No. There weren't any Ultramarines there. No, it was all manned by. So let's talk about the forces, and I think this is great for Mike to jump in with his reading because he talks about the Imperial Forces.
Yeah, I did a little narrative up just to kind of explain why it was going to be everything but Ultramarines. Anyways, I'm not a narrator, but I'm going to do my best. Here we go. Not since the first great betrayal experienced by the Sons of Ultramar 10 millennia ago had the 500 worlds witnessed such scale of war. The theater of war being waged by the various forces of chaos seemed almost all-consuming. It was virtually all of Guilliman's various and vast military might to counter the sundry armies of the ruinous powers. Though being contained, this war was still precariously close to defeat. It was under these conditions that a large group of greenskins entered the Ultima Segmentum from the southern fringes. The first warnings of this untimely invasion came from the Ashpathic distress calls from the fortress world of Ongrath. Guilliman had none of his own progeny to spare against this theoretically seen as a lesser threat. The Ultramarines Primarch initially requested the Sons of Garrow to lead the coalition of Imperial Forces to the defense of Ongrath. If the relief forces arrived after the fall of Ongrath, then the repulsion of the Xeno threat and recapture of Ongrath would be the requirement. Nar Estani the Repentant, captain of the 4th Company, Sons of Garrow, gathered several guard regiments from Krieg, Cadia, Valhalla, and along with voluntary assistance from the Order of Our Martyred Lady, led by the venerable Canoness Kane. To Guilliman, this force seemed easily sufficient for the practical application of complete annihilation against a foe who surely must have suffered under the Cicatrix Maledictum as much as any other race in the galaxy. No doubt this would have been the case if said force had arrived as expected. Instead, piecemeal various Astromilitarum regiments entered the system, initially outgunned the scattered Imperial Navy fleet, kited the Orc capital ships, while waiting for more of their own response armada to arrive and regroup with. Though the bulk of the guard regiments had arrived, there was still no word of the Sons of Garrow or the Order of Our Martyred Lady. Believed to be possibly lost in the warp, word was sent back to Guilliman. Exacerbated by this complication of this nuisance, Guilliman found assistance where once it had been given. First, the Company Master Helbron of the Dark Angels, freshly in the system as reinforcements. Then came Commander Dante of the Blood Angels, arriving to repay what the chapter saw as a recent debt to their salvation on Baal. It was not without a sense of nostalgia that Guilliman fought back to a similar time when many thousands of years ago, when these three legions worked together for a common cause. Guilliman was grateful that both Dante and Helbron and their respective chapters would be the spearhead to deal with this threat. Preparing their fleets, both commanders made good time to Angraff to lead the resistance. To their surprise, the fortress world still stood. They worked quickly to organize the deployment and reinforce Angraff. I did up a roll call. So for the Astra Militarum, we had John was his army, led by Lord Marshal Galen, and that was the overall commander of the Astra Militarum Command.
But he was they're Cadian, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So he's Cadian. Mine technically Arcadian, but I have another name for him.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But anyway, so he has the 317th Cadian Regiment.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was the 56th Laurentian Guard Armored Corps.
Cool.
And then Phil, of course, had the Def Corps Krieg Artillery Regiment, the 4077th 3rd Company. We also had the 42nd Valhallan Armored Regiment, 6th Company, the 1516th Super Heavy Regiment, the 2nd New Caledonian Super Heavy Regiment, and an unknown Catachan warrior.
Of course.
And then we also had 2 night houses there, House Raven and House Hawkshroud. We had the Titan Legion, Legio Metallica. And of the Adeptus Astartes, we had Helbron and his 5th Company. And then we had Lord Dante with Sanguinary Guard, the Blood Angels 1st Company, 2nd Company with reinforcements for the 10th. And then finally there was a small force with representing the Holy Orders of the Imperium's Inquisition. What was their specialty again? I can't remember.
Ordo Chronos.
Ordo Chronos.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that.
And you need to. I'm going to butcher his name. So what's the Inquisitor's name?
Indelicia Sobrino de Hidalgo.
Dankeschön. That's much better than
Dankeschön.
Librarian. And then you also had a Death Watch Librarian leading a strike force of Raven Guard, and we didn't quite know the numbers for whatever reason because they've been redacted.
Mm-hmm.
And then members of the Officio Assassinorum,
the Death Watch Assassins.
Yep, and then we also had a couple as well in there. So that was the Imperial's response to this massive orc threat.
Yeah,
there were a lot of assassins on that board.
Yeah, there were.
Because I thought I'll just bring this because go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's fantastic because what's it called? The Klexes would end up playing a part in the narrative. So sorry,
I set up a list that's like 25 power level, and it's the 4 assassins and Inquisitor that I can just take anywhere I want. Mm-hmm. I can always just slot it in pretty easy. It's like, I have room for 5 minis in there, and then I look over and Phil's got all of the assassins except the Vindicare, which he didn't like, and there was another Calexis, right? There was
I brought my own. I have just the Calexis, and I brought him, and he was initially hiding amongst the dreadnoughts, and then eventually popped out.
Yeah, so we had 8 assassins on the board.
Awesome. That's great. So I took a cue from some of the Age of Sigmar Apocalypse rules, and I also looked in the chapter approved book at those rules and came up with kind of my own idea of what we should be doing. I was looking at the lists and like that I was cooking up, and I'm like, how many command points can you get out of an apocalypse list? It can be upwards of hundreds. Yeah. And I didn't want everything you do to be rerolled. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to have rerolls, and it's fun for things to happen. And you definitely don't want to limit people to like 1 reroll per turn. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want hundreds of command points. So what I did was I said D6 plus 6 command points per side per turn, and that worked out fairly nicely. I think.
Yep.
I think everybody had enough command points that they could do what they wanted to do, but not so many that you just rerolled everything.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought that worked out nicely. We both nominated a Master Warlord, which it was Dante and Drillteeth, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
For the battlefield, we split it lengthwise down the middle.
Yeah.
And we deployed in halves to save time, and I think that was great.
Yes, and then based on like sort of, it reminded me of old. I'm trying to figure what the edition it was. There used to be initiative where based on the type of vehicle was. So the super heavies had to deploy first because essentially they would take the longest to deploy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it eventually worked its way up to like finally the fast attack and infantry kind of thing.
Yep. So yeah, I had it. So the Imperials would deploy their super heavies. I would deploy my super heavies. You would deploy all your vehicles. I deployed all of my vehicles. Then we both simultaneously deployed everything else because screw that. And I put it in the rules that I could redeploy 1 unit per 2-foot square after everything, just as that deployment advantage.
Yeah.
I didn't end up doing that. It was like whatever.
We didn't have space. We had so many minis.
Yeah. I mean, we had to put reserves purely on the fact we couldn't fit everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided to put all my flyers in reserve because I had some special rules to do with the Thunderhawk transporter. And I didn't want it to just like start on the board and wipe something out. So what else? We have the last stand. Units do not need to take morale checks in the morale phase. So it saves us a bunch of problems like, who took saves, whatever. Also, we ended up doing units just remember the old formations where you could just take 100 of an orcs or whatever. Yeah. We decided to just allow units to just be grouped up into giant units. It made things a lot easier. Like the orcs, I deployed the Green Tide in the middle, and I just ran the entire thing as one unit because
absolutely.
I just spread out some pain voids and stuff in there. And we kind of did the same thing with the Imperial Guard. Like I would say, okay, I did like 25 wounds to the guardsmen. You put it wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly. They can be spread amongst the veterans or regular or whatever.
Yep, exactly. So we also had a rule called mutual destruction, which is also from Age of Sigmar, where in the combat phase you don't pull casualties until you attack.
Right.
So whoever's turn it was attacked first. They got their attacks in, and then the opponent would still get to swing with everybody who died. And then they would both pull casualties simultaneously. That way, everything's just dying. That's kind of the point. You want stuff to die,
and everything gets a chance to do something. Right?
Exactly. For me, I was allowed to bring units back on the board. I knew it was going to be brutal for the orcs with all that shooting.
Yeah.
It was not even points. Like we were sitting at about 3,000 points per side. I was reserving several thousand.
Yeah.
I was reserving like 10,000 points almost. So it stood to reason that I should recycle my units.
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Then we did rolling bombardments. So the rule for that was for all the kind of what used to be called barrage, so stuff that ignores line of sight. I said just total up the maximum number of wounds it could possibly do, divide by 2, and then roll that many dice. Yeah. If it was strength 8 or higher, I said count it as 2 dice, I think. And so instead of dividing by 2, just normal. And that was mortal wounds that you could apply wherever you want. Mm-hmm. The intention was infantry, but it's okay if you did it, because some of that stuff is high strength. So I think Phil used it sometimes, but he really loves attacking with artillery, so he didn't use it every time. I don't know. Did you guys ever end up doing that? We made him the master of ordnance, didn't we?
Yeah.
But that makes sense. He loves his thing.
He loves his artillery. Yeah, everyone kind of had their perfect little role. So, but I don't think we ended up using the special rule, and mainly the fact that the board was so clogged. Like there was also a special rule you haven't talked about yet for the shadow swords because we had 4 of them on the board.
Yep.
And we were supposed to have the super laser where it basically did a beam attack like right across the board kind of thing.
Yeah. It was 4 command points. Pick an enemy super heavy, and every you roll a dice for every you do it was like an AoE mortal wound attack for everything within 6 inches of the beam line. So like if a unit if there were 10 models in a unit that were within 6 inches of the beam, it took 10 d6 it took 10 you rolled 10 dice and 4 up mortal wounds.
Yeah,
it's it just did 10 mortal wounds.
It's like the big cannon on the front of the ship in Star Blazer when it opens up.
Or Macross. Yeah, it basically turned the three Shadow Swords into a Macross cannon.
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys never ended up using it because your guys got in the way.
Because the board was just so crowded every time. We're like, well, okay, all my Blood Angel Dreadnoughts, of which there were like 8 at the time, were going to die. But
it was hard to plan it. It was hard to plan it ahead. Yeah. And I certainly didn't intentionally put my super heavies because I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't care. So...
Well, the board was packed. I mean,
it was super packed, yes. Yeah. And no one's let's be honest, Imperial Guardsman is not going to endanger the lives of the angels of the Emperor.
Yeah.
Let's see. Volley Fire, Choppa Frenzy. We decided if it was a lot of dice, we were going to go ahead and take averages.
Yeah.
And then when we got down around 20 to 30 dice, we would roll it.
Yeah.
So like if it was 100 and something attacks, we'd be like, okay, divide... Get out the phone, multiply by 0.66, multiply by 0.33. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
And that worked out real nice.
Yeah.
Plot armor. Both of the warlords could not be targeted by any attacks unless they were the closest, even assassins.
Yeah.
I also had a special rule for Drill Teeth. Sista B author who's really good at disguises. I basically set up a Trays in the Infinite rule for Mad Doc so that if he did end up dying, one of the war bosses would just turn into Mad Doc Jolteef because it was him the whole time.
Yeah,
like he had a proxy out front, and I deployed him right on the front line too. I was like, here we go.
I saw that. That was funny.
Attacking units can leave through the escape route, which was your battlefield edge. Breaching attack. We set up a thing where you could assault inside fortifications, but we never did that.
Yeah, it just doesn't it was kind of like why would you want to sit in a bastion when you were trying to get the board edge, right? So
right.
You were also allowed to. I think Phil just forgot. Because you were also allowed to detonate your fortifications if you wanted to.
He forgot.
Yeah, he would have done that immediately.
I was going to say, like when the left flank was looking like really terrible and it was about to die, like I would have totally said, "Okay, it's time to go. Let's go. Blow up these 2 guys while all the buggies are surrounding them."
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Phil forgot that.
He definitely forgot, or else he would have done it for sure. Let's see. Breaking Wave. Oh, I can consolidate 5 inches for 4 command points with my units, and I did that a couple times to get them off the battlefield.
Okay, yeah.
Then I had a bunch of attacker stratagems that were redacted, and we'll get into that later.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Right. In the victory conditions, we didn't actually have victory points. We were just following the narrative to see what would happen.
Yeah.
What was the most fun. And, sometimes it takes a little while to wrap our heads around that. But I think, as we play more narrative games, it gets easier and easier to do that sort of thing. So let's talk about deployment. I think, it makes... The Imperial Deployment could be described as somewhat obvious because there's no other way to really do it. We decided to use the Realm of Battle Boards because the Realm of Battle Boards make it really easy to do apocalypse events.
Yeah.
Like, that 2-foot square is affected by this thing or this apocalyptic spell. That's one thing that Age of Sigmar is doing that I wanna look at for maybe doing some special rules for 40k where they have these ultimate apocalypse level spells. So like instead of just regular psychic powers, we could have like these. Remember when we did Battle for the Fang and we had those like those super powerful Space Wolf spells but only if you were on the Fang itself because the world wolf spirit was so strong. So like we had extra powerful psychic powers for that.
Yeah,
that would be really cool for sight. That'd be really cool for Apocalypse. So how did you guys deploy? So Yeah, so we set it up so that there's like a pass in the middle. So we put all the flat boards for all three of our realm of battles in the middle, and we put the hills on the side.
Yeah.
We thought that made a lot of sense for like a place for the orcs to assault, like up this dry riverbed.
And so I think what it was is Phil put he put a trench line in front of the pass, or basically,
he put the trench line in the middle on the pass.
That's where we had all these Krieg, my infantry, just to the side of that dreadnoughts. The other side was held by
Legio,
the Titans, and
the Legio, the Metallica.
Yeah, Legio Metallica and the two Knight Titans.
Yep.
And the artillery was in behind basically that's the infantry wall.
Yep. Yeah, and the artillery kind of stood on top of a hill on your left flank, next to the Shadow Sword battery.
Yeah, and so on the other side of the pass at the top of the hill, we had the four, because it's basically the best look at the whole battlefield. Mm-hmm. We had the 4 Shadow Swords, and then the left flank was mostly held by Blood Angels plus some the leftover.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense to have those elite units over there because that's where a lot of forces are going to try to break through. So and you guys left your the Raven Guard, and so the Dark Angels held the line alongside the infantry.
Yeah,
basically they held.
That
made
center. Sense for Phil's modus operandi. Anyways, the more Blood Angels who die, the happier he is. But y'all had your tanks were on the field, but you had a bunch of stuff in reserve. Dante himself, the Warlord, was up in space, basically, kind of deep striking at the start of the game.
Actually, I didn't. Yeah, he kind of came in at the last second. He didn't actually get involved too much because I left him pretty late.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think those Sanguinary Guard played a pivotal role.
It was a huge, like they basically, essentially that flank had broke, and it was the combined Raven Guard dropping down, because all your Raven Guard was basically jump packs.
All my Raven Guard.
You had several Vanguard vets and the guys from 30K. What are they called?
I had they're Dark Fury models, but they're all Vanguard vets.
Oh, okay, we're treating them. Okay.
Yeah.
So imagine, if you will, like a dry riverbed choked with Imperial Guardsmen led by a bunch of Dark Angels. On the right flank, up in the hills, you have a Reaver Titan and a Warhound Titan, along with a couple of Knights. And then on the left flank, you have an entire Shadow Sword battery standing on top of the hill, and just artillery barrels poking out over the horizon. And that's what you had. And then massing forward down the riverbed, you have a huge wave of orcs down the middle. Yeah. While behind them, a bunch of ammo or grots erect a stage, a musical stage.
That was funny.
Sound checks echoing across the landscape. On my left flank, I put up my Titans, my Stampa, and my my Gorkanaut and Morkanaut mobs surge forward over there to fight Legio Metallica, and then I also put my couple of super heavy tanks and my Diga auxiliary on the right flank to go against your artillery. But they didn't realize they were also going to be facing the the Space Marines. And they were backed up on both sides by various and sundry things. Like, I kind of spread some other things out, but the tank busters definitely went towards Legio Metallica because they wanted a piece of that pie.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as my reserves, I had the Thunderhawk transporter along with its honor guard, I guess you would call it, all of my flyers, and
that was a good picture.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was a really good picture.
The buggies were also in reserve, and the commandos were in reserve. Mm-hmm. All that made sense. So turn one. I think that I pushed forward and I got into assault with a bunch of stuff, but I didn't do a whole lot. I didn't bother shooting at the Titans much. I went more for getting stuck in. and I shot some other things, and there, that Titan, man, it's tough. 3-up in Vuln save to start at the start of its profile. I think I did kill. Did we, Jason? What did we kill over there? We killed. Oh, I managed to kill your Stormlord, right?
No, it's John's Stormlord.
John's Storm. Oh yeah.
That's right. That was like the first thing
The
to get
right
taken
flank.
off the table.
Yep, the right flank actually did have one Baneblade chassis to protect that flank from infantry.
Yeah, that was.
And I'm glad. Looking back on it, I'm glad I killed that thing.
Yeah, that would shoot through.
It was later that that Jason, you did some concentrated firepower to take out. No, that was turn 1 as well. We
took out that one Lehman Russ, whatever it was.
You took out Land Raider because
the Blood Angels Land
you
Raider.
didn't charge because all my Terminators spilled out and you charged in your.
This ended up being very costly for the Blood Angels.
Yeah,
it was probably worth it. Like, they didn't lose a lot of men, but they did lose a lot of machinery. They lost 2 Land Raiders, I think.
Both Land Raiders
hopefully
were
they
lost.
can. Hopefully they can be repaired. Did either of them explode?
That's something else. What's that?
Did either of them explode?
What? Yes, what of mine exploded? It was the land speeder exploded.
Oh yeah, that did. Yeah,
that was incredible.
Because I got tired of it running around.
You know what, guys? Next time we do a narrative game or a narrative, especially Apocalypse, let's get some smoke templates and use those for wrecks instead of pulling them off the battlefield. Because even though it chokes up the battlefield, I think it's way more cinematic to leave the wreckage on the battlefield.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We had so many tanks, though, it would have...
You count them as terrain. Yeah, maybe we need to come up with some terrain, some like wrecked vehicle templates that make it easy to get on top of. And you don't feel so bad about crawling, because it was fully painted. This game was fully painted. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Points, a fully painted army.
Yeah. All of my orcs.
And I think someone put a comment on the photos about the fact that, holy crap, an actual Apocalypse game where there's no gray plastic?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Eric wrote that, yeah.
Oh, in the Discord channel.
No, he wrote it on I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he wrote that as well.
Nice. So turn 1 was interesting. Legio Metallica were pretty much the stars of the show, I think. Those laser cannons and missiles and stuff. Even just the Warhound is brutal.
Yeah.
Freaking Skip goes, dude, I should have had you bring your Sky Shield landing pad so I could put it on top. I'm like, shut your face. But yeah, almost all of my super heavies died turn 1. Now I did bring them all back on at the end of the movement phase, turn 2, but the damage was, those vehicles were never going to make it to the other side of the battlefield. It's basically a distraction to get the infantry and mainly to get Jolteef himself onto the other side. I would have liked it if we'd had more time, but I was losing my damn mind by that point. But anyways, turn one was definitely in your favor, but the boys were stuck in. Mad Doc was, I think, 8 inches from the battlefield edge by the end of turn 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, he was just munching. He was munching through infantry pretty well.
Well, and Dr. Drill Teeth, he got off, right?
Eventually, yeah. So turn 2.
I was jumping ahead. Sorry.
No, you're off. It's okay. Turn 2. I brought in the. I said, okay, let's do this, and I bring in the Thunderhawk transporter, which the day before I actually finally built a base for it. Yeah. That thing is a pain in the neck.
It is.
It's got that big empty spot in the middle that you're supposed to put tanks.
Yeah.
So you can't put a post in the middle. So what you have to do is you have to put the post in the back, and then extend your base forward so that the center of gravity is over in the middle of the base. But your post has to be strong enough to hold the weight, and so it doesn't flip over. Somehow, I was going to do a metal one.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
but I did a wood one, and it worked out. And you know what? I think the flexibility of the wood might have been a little bit better. So what I did was I took a piece of wood, and I kind of made it small enough so that it fits in the transport section, like couches inside it. Yeah. So instead of having a post drilled through the model, instead it kind of just holds it. Yeah. It cushions it. And then I added magnets to the bottom of that piece of wood and I put some magnets inside a Frontline Gaming cargo container, and it just mounts it under the bottom. Yeah. So that was really good. And then I put when I brought them on, I brought on all the flyers, all the orc flyers flanking it in kind of a protective formation, and I gave it a 2-up lookout, sir.
Yeah.
Which it worked out really well. It weathered a lot of shots, and I think John intentionally didn't shoot the shadow swords at it. But Phil was really trying to kill it. They shot at it a bunch of times until there was a Daka jet and the Wazdaka blasted jet left. And then Phil was like, "Okay, I'm shooting my basilisks at him." Like, "Don't shoot your stupid artillery at my flyers." He's like, "Oh, flak." I'm like, "Don't shoot your stupid artillery at my flyers. Shoot something else."
Yeah, Phil, whatever the center of attention is, Phil wants to blow it up, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
I asked him not to shoot his artillery bombardment at my flying things, and he acquiesced and shot something else, which I appreciated.
He really wanted that thing to blow up. And that's always been since I've known him. What's the biggest explosion? All right, there. Okay, Phil, go that way.
At this point, you guys had brought in your assassins, right?
Yeah.
And this is what you were starting to talk about earlier, right, Mike?
Yes, the Calexis. Yeah, a lot of people dropped down. You brought down a couple of yours. We had some, and then, and well, I don't think mine actually contributed that much to it, but you had Calexis spread around your lines. Plus, also, actually, Phil, surprisingly, they did pretty well, I thought. Mm-hmm. His Deathwing dropped down. All of a sudden, you're staring at 30 Terminators right in your deployment zone, right?
Oh, and that's another thing. We decided to nix the whole 9-inch.
Yeah.
This is because there's no way.
You wouldn't be able to fit half the stuff on there.
No, you did, when you're playing Apocalypse, just ignore that rule.
Yeah.
You want stuff to die. But I had 4 weird boys behind the stage casting a summoning spell. This, as the music was playing, like the intensity was increasing, and I needed 8 successful casts to do what I wanted to do. And because Phil's stupid Calexis assaulted the stage and started fighting the band members, one of my casts failed on turn 2. Like, fine, Phil, fine. So I had to split my weird boys and send them down each flank. Now, the summoning, prior to the game, prior to the battle, my commander had told the boys to watch out for that, the line of terrain facing the band, because it was going to get a little dangerous. So everybody had moved to either flank, to either side of the valley floor, knowing that the middle of the valley was about to become a river of blood. Well, as it turns out, both pairs of weird boys were on either side. So at the start of turn 3, I decided, well, there's no way it's going to go down the middle now, because the spell is going to complete on either side instead of down the middle. So I randomly determined which side it was going to come up on, and a whole bunch of my stuff just died because the blood welled up from the ground and enveloped everything. And what's funny, the funny part about that is when I sent in the transporter, I targeted with the cargo container full of promethium. I wiped out like one of the shadow swords and a lot of damage to the other. Bunch of death. But it turns out that's the row of tiles that got turned into the river of blood, so it was totally pointless.
Well, it wasn't pointless. You basically got rid of all but one of the shadow swords.
That's true. Another funny part is like the Thunderhawk was half on, half off of the river of blood. So I rolled a 4 up to see if it survived. Nope, it got a pseudopod of blood reached up and grabbed it and pulled it into the blood river. So it was just all kinds of death. It was great. It was wonderful.
We both sides lost a lot of stuff in that, because I think basically that all my dreadnoughts lost. My dreadnoughts all went with that.
But they were blood angels, so they were fine with it. They're like, "Oh, this is great. This is a nice bath." Oh, we should have given them a save or something.
Yeah, this takes me back to when I first became a blood angel.
So, yeah.
That's some messed up stuff, man.
All of my WA Tuska models were deployed at that point. But at that point, I was getting tired. I'm like, why am I putting more models on the table?
I know.
This is a bad idea.
Apocalypse definitely is a thing, unless you keep it like to 5,000 points or 10,000 maybe. Like, it's definitely a thing if you can do it over multiple days. Like, if you can leave it wherever it's set up, that's probably the best way to play that.
Yeah. It was fun, though. So those guys came on and assaulted the lines, which did help. That did help get Jolteef off. At that point, that's when Jolteef kind of pushed through, and him and a bunch of guys came off. At the same time, Jason, you were using some of our fast attack, right? You were using the buggies. They came on around turn 2.
I guess that's when they came in. Just so listeners know, I came in to help Adam run his orcs, but I also brought in the detachment with me. So I guess I was actually on both sides.
Yeah, I forced you to play both sides, even though I think.
Well, no, I think I asked for help. I'm like, all right, who wants to help me move models? Like, you have to. That's how you have to play Apocalypse.
Even we helped out. Like, I don't like. It's not like I'm not here to like win. I'm like, I want to have a great I
took saves for Imperial models. All that. I'm like, okay, I'm attacking. Okay, now I need to make saves for this thing. It's dead. I'm handing models to you.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, my Ball Predator. Did it get Overwatch? I'm like, no, I piled into it.
Well, yeah, so the buggies came in, and we were actually about to break through into that area.
On the right flank.
Yeah, the right flank.
To where the Space Marines were.
Yeah, I mean, like, there were so many shots between them, and there was something else over there. I can't remember.
The buggies? The Death Copters?
The Death Copters.
You had Tank Busters and the Shinnor.
Flash Gets.
Yeah.
Flash Gets, yes.
And
all the Diggers.
Yeah, I just started looking. It's like 100 and what? I'm not throwing those. All right, bring out the calculator, start doing that. But we had
the Diggers were good. They had the las cannons and the Vanquisher. The Vanquisher Lehman Russ.
Yeah,
those probably did quite a bit.
The Lehman Russ did some work in the first turn, and it blew up if I remember right.
Yeah, I blew up most of the center of all the armored stuff there.
The heavy weapons teams, those actually did some work.
That's cool.
It took me a while to get rid of them all, too.
There was still we forgot to left the Diggers command squad on the board because I just forgot. I was like, I don't know what the hell.
Well, we don't want Commissar Neela Holt to die. We're gonna say she got off.
Yeah,
somehow.
Yeah, she actually did live.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Just because I was so busy throwing war buggies trying to get through. Because I thought, 4 or 5 dudes are not going to do anything against 2 Land Raiders, a Predator, a couple of Lehman Russes.
Yeah.
But those humans
are so stunty, and a lot of them are wearing uniforms, especially the command squad.
Yeah.
Like the Digga command squad all actually have proper uniformed attire, so they could probably mix in with the humans and get away if they want to, or just go home. But they probably won't.
I mean, I imagine like the orcs were rushing in there so fast to get in the fight. Like you had all these battles, like the second turn, basically the returning of the guys who died first turn. Battle wagons and trucks and all flying by, and so they're just seeing all these orcs fly by them. Yeah. At that point, the line of scrimmage moved much closer to our edge.
Yeah.
That they were just like, all right, I guess we're done here.
I guess we did well. All our las cannons are destroyed. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
But they're so. After reading The Beast Arises, I think the human auxiliaries, like the Diggas, I think that it's possible that there's some kind of like. What's it called? What's it called when you're Stockholm syndrome, like an extreme form of Stockholm syndrome that's psychically enhanced. I think that they may actually just would prefer to go back and work for the orcs.
Yeah, they wouldn't want to go back to the Imperium.
No, certainly not. So especially after they've worked so hard to prove that they're not so weedy. So I definitely think by. One of those characters needs to have his arm chopped off so I can make an Iron Hand Strachan model. We'll say that he lost his arm in this battle, one of the casualties. So we'll do that. What were we saying? Oh, so that flank was getting hammered.
Yes.
So y'all decided, you know what, this is a good spot. It looks like it's going to break through. There's the Knob Bikers.
Yeah.
The Knob Bikers.
The Knob Bikers had literally been chewed through a squad of Terminators, Assault Marine squad, a Ravenwing squad.
That Ravenwing squad was a lot more durable.
Yeah, actually, I rolled fantastically for the armor saves for whatever reason, but
because you still have 6-up armor saves against Power Claws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I kept like, there was one point where it's like, okay, take 2 saves. Well, 2 6s. Yeah. I guess they're still not dying. It's like, so yeah, like, but finally they were all dead. The Terminators were basically, there was like, I think 1 left. And the Assault Marines came in, the turn 2, charged, and were destroyed that turn.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, yeah, the Sanguinary Guard came down, and basically it just like with that, along with all your Vanguard vets, it was like a mulcher that just kind of charged in. And same thing, because I had so many attacks, I had 10 Sanguinary Guard and all these special characters in there, and they're all giving rerolls and all this other jazz. I just kind of rolled it up. I said, okay, you got 41 wounds to distribute. Amongst your guys, no save, because this was all power weapons.
Yep. Yeah.
So it was just like,
knobs have a 4.
Yeah. So it was like literally bike,
just feel no pain.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was just like half of that disappeared, and I don't even know what the Raven Guard. I don't even think we actually did damage for the Raven Guard, to be honest.
No, we lost about 3 or 4. I think.
Okay.
There wasn't many. I mean, it was. Most of our Raven Guard were still on the table.
Yeah, so I like to think that flank definitely held after all that stuff, and those in the artillery. The artillery line was standing quite firm.
Yeah.
Because of the dreadnoughts mainly.
Yeah.
Thanks to the dreadnoughts and a bunch of stuff. I think was it the artillery that killed the second wave of Storm Boys? Something just wiped out a second wave of Storm Boys pretty quickly. It was probably
I can't recall. May have been the Wyverns and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that side of the battlefield was definitely held by the Imperium. On the Imperial right flank, at the same time, the tank busters came up and they decided, okay, after you wiped out pretty much everything with your Titans, it's time to cause some damage. So that's when the Flyers came in. They did a strafing run against the Legio Metallica, and them along with the tank busters took out 40 wounds in one turn.
He went from 60 to 13.
Yeah, that was
and that in one round. So that was.
Yep. And you definitely want to do your light arms fire first, because it starts with a 3-up invuln save and goes to a 4-up.
Yeah,
when it goes to the 4-up, that's when you want to start shooting it with your missiles and stuff. And it was terrifying. It just weathered all of this fire, and I literally got it down to 1 wound.
That's
on
right.
turn 3. On turn, it struck back the next turn, but it was severely limited. And
it didn't blow up.
Well, it got down to 1 wound on turn 3.
Oh,
and then on turn 4, at turn 3, he healed it, and then turn 4, I came at it, and we said, okay, does it explode? And rolled a 5. It exploded. It took out all kinds of stuff. On that side of your right flank was just almost gone. It had a Warhound, so I don't think any of the vehicles would have gotten through, but I really think that there could have been. I would say some of the tank busters did get out. Tank busters did manage to get out because of time issues, because Phil took too long doing stuff.
I think, Phil was still determined to fire his last guardsman, but that's Phil.
Well, no, I mean, it makes sense. Like, it did matter whether they got off, but we were already half an hour over, and it was like, listen, just let these guys get off.
And we had a very appropriate argument, because, like, basically narratively, like I said, okay, at this point, the center, we've lost the center because of the blood tide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we lost 3 Shadow Swords. And that, like, to the Imperial Guard, that would be gigantic. That's a massive loss.
Yeah.
Like, they do everything that's possible. I've been reading Baneblade. It's really cool to see that, like, they will sacrifice Lehman Russes. Yeah. Lehman Russes cover the retreat so that we can get the super heavies out of here. We can't let them die.
Yep.
Right? And so they just lost this Bloodwake. Just destroyed like all the remaining Shadow Swords except for 1.
Yeah.
Like we're all of a sudden, and then we watch one of the Titans go nuclear.
Yeah.
Right. Like surely at that point, Dante's going, okay, we're gonna hold this flank for as long as you can. Everyone get out.
Yeah.
And start doing an orderly discharge or an orderly retreat. And so that was the whole point, is the fact that they would have started falling back at that point.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
and with the artillery still mobile and still good. I feel like it would be very easy to defend a orderly retreat against the whatever remained of the orc armor. Mm-hmm. So like I could see the remaining orc armor advancing up the valley, but the basilisks just and the wyverns just continuing the rolling bombardments as they retreated, as well as using that Warhound Titan as a harrying force.
And yeah, which is something they're good at, right? Because they're pretty fast.
They're super fast, and they have great range, and they can just snipe out little things here and there. And of course, you have the Space Marines on jump packs that are also helping. So I think at the end, I would argue that some of the orc infantry made it through, obviously.
Yeah.
And including some of the diggers. So I'm thinking, Neela and Jodin of the diggers might assist some of the surviving tank busters who want maybe the knob from the tank busters kind of becomes like a mech or something, and they can do some stuff to maybe steal some of the human technology. I'm not sure if kind of in their back lines. There's certainly a lot of orc spores discharged down the valley, and we have the Blood River, which how long is that going to last? It might be there for a while. So I think that I don't think the city's fallen. I don't think the world is fallen. I think that would be giving way too much to what I was able to do during the game with Jason. And I think you with Phil and Skip did a really good job of holding us off.
Yeah.
I think Phil did an excellent job of kind of holding that center line.
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I think that there's something to be said about that, and I think that should be represented in whatever future games I do with the orcs.
Yeah, definitely. If you want something to stand in against, numerous odds, send the Krieg. That's for sure.
Yeah,
like they did what they do best. Yeah.
That stratagem, that +1 toughness or +1 armor save spell. There's like a spell that they can cast.
Oh,
it's
really?
like a +1 armor save. Yeah, he had 3-up armor save dice. Krieg with 3-up armor save. It was gross.
But it
doesn't sound right.
Hey, listen, whatever. I thought it was because I thought Grenadiers were in there to have heavier armor or something. Anyways, whatever. But yeah, But that worked. But I'm glad also that you got through. Like I didn't want to. That was going to make me really sad if that was the case, and that's why I was kind of insistent that you take first turn, because the last Apocalypse game, unrelated narratively, that we played.
Oh yeah.
The Imperials went first, and they had all the super heavies, and it just obliterated like a third of our forces, including all of what super heavies we had left to respond.
Yeah. No, I think this one we learned a lot of lessons from the last one.
Yeah.
I think it worked out great. I hope listeners can take some of what we talked about and bring it into their games, because like I said, what we did here was very much informed by previous games we had played. And so definitely take to heart some of the stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like we know better, but this definitely comes from experience.
Yeah.
So, especially with the way 8th edition works and how stuff just, mortal wounds are a great way to do that. Allowing people to allocate their own mortal wounds, as long as they're not being too gamey, it's fine. It works fine. Like the bombardment rule, I'm like, just tell me how many mortal wounds my guys are taking.
And usually I would just spread it evenly. Like when we were doing that, like against my intercessors, I would just take, I lost 6 guys, I'll take 2 off this squad, 2 off this squad, 2 off this squad, and just kind of spread it out.
Phil has a rule called preliminary bombardment. You roll a dice for each unit on the battlefield, and on a 6 it takes a mortal wound. In a regular game of 40k, that sounds fine. But in Apocalypse,
how many?
He's like, you know what? He goes, you know what? That's probably not a good idea. I'm like, if you want to just throw some mortal wounds at something, I have no problem with that.
Well, you just.
But he decided not to. I'm like, but I don't care. Just throw some mortal wounds at something for your preliminary bombardment.
Or you could have done the same thing, 1/6 of all your units. Like, how many units did you have? Say 100 units, so 1/6 of that, which 333. I think. No, wait. How much?
How many units did we have? Yeah, it could have been I have 50 units, or I have 30 units. Okay, do do 6 mortal wounds into my army for one command
16,
point.
Say 16 mortal wounds across your army.
That sounds like a great apocalypse stratagem for one command point. For one command point, just do 6 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
And again, we're not using the detachment command benefits. Instead, we have like D6 plus 6 to start with. That way, that stops it from being like hundreds of mortal wounds.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have taken a long time.
Yeah, it would have sucked. So, all right. Well, what do you guys think? I'm excited. I want to do this again sometime next year, not this year.
No,
this is why you do Apocalypse once a year, once every 2 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's super hard.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since the last one.
It's tiring.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. It's worse than a tournament because a tournament you're like, you know what, I'm going to drop.
Yeah.
With Apocalypse, you can't drop.
I'm no worse for that too. Like I'm totally like because
so after round 1, you're like, I can drop now.
Yeah,
I drove 6 hours, but I can drop now if you want.
I play so little War 40K. Like I get one game in, I'm like, yeah, that's great. I'm good for a month. You know. It's like,
Jason, thank you so much for driving out to do this. This was a lot of fun. Or flying out, whatever.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that was great because.
We didn't talk about the Inquisitor.
Oh yes,
yeah, the Inquisitor.
Once again, you have slighted my Blood Angels. Still not with the same force.
Well, I had the Inquisitor back in that Land Raider, and I was like, she isn't doing anything. I've got to go through and give her some sort of narrative. That's why she's there.
Mm-hmm.
What's her reason for being there? And I hadn't really figured it out. And then, you drop, was it Dante? And the 2 Sanguinary Guard, or no, Sanguinary Priests.
There's 2 Sanguinary Priests and a Jump Pack Librarian who didn't make it the charge to get into combat. So they were sitting back at the board edge, basically.
Yeah, and I had my Inquisitor in the Land Raider, and I just kind of looked at it, what would be fun? So I popped the Inquisitor out and just kind of walked out, and I told you, I was like, go ahead with the Inquisitor out. Go ahead and disembark her. And, we were a little bit farther back. Yeah, that's good, right in front of your librarian. And so then I was just waiting. It's like, all right, so we've got done movement, done shooting. I think he about to call assault. I said, hold on, special rule, please. Can I go ahead and kidnap my librarian? Yeah, just get into assault and they disappear. I'm like, all right, cool. Was that 2 inches? Great.
And this is a sort of like, this is becoming a bit of an old joke because this is we played a game before you moved to Texas, I remember, and which again I had a Blood Angel Terminator librarian, and you were like, I want to capture that librarian. And I'm like, okay. And we made up a rule that this Imperial Knight would come over and swat it on the head with its gun, right? And we said, okay, like on this kind of roll. And sure enough, after 2 attempts, you finally knocked it out and scooped it up and and then you made your own version of that.
Because he looted him.
Yeah, but essentially you play Blood Ravens, so that's your thing. Is you looted.
He's one of Blood Ravens.
So ever since then, my Blood Angels have had this narrative that I have a librarian dreadnought that is organizing, trying to get back all the Blood Angel librarians that keep disappearing. He's been awoken from his tomb because he's like, where did everyone go? It's only Mephiston
all
left.
My friends are gone.
Well, it's the Inquisitor of the Order of Kronos, so I got to figure out some sort of backstory about why she needed to have that.
Yeah, that's going to be that she's going to be a lot harder to find when you might not even be in the same timeline or anything.
Yeah, one of the things I've been doing with her retinue is I just have this kind of group of models that some of them are basically models that are used in 30K.
Yeah.
Like the librarian I have over there is actually a knight errant in 30K, but he's one of my favorite kit bashes. So I just have I think I have 3 rule sets for him that I use. Yeah. He's either a Calidus assassin or he's a Deathwatch librarian or knight errant in 30K, just because.
Well, we're going to be... Yeah. We definitely still want to do that narrative campaign, that global campaign that focuses on the Ordo Chronos.
Yes.
Right. What is it? Bad Ab, right? Bad Ab War. So I think that you might want to tie your narrative into that situation. Yeah. Maybe there's a reason why you needed those librarians to help out with. Maybe you're building a librarian death watch of some kind.
I could do that. That'd be
how
easy.
Awesome would that be? Like a death, like a full on kind of not quite like instead an Ordo Chronos version of the Grey Knights.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, Time Warriors?
Yeah.
That sounds super rad.
Well, that's what I'm actually doing with the group that I have now. Like, the Deathwatch Assassins are they're always they're part of her, like, quote unquote command squad, but they're all space marines. They can actually be used back and forth.
Time Bandits.
Yeah,
love that movie.
It's so good.
Love that movie.
Wherever you go, there you are.
I
know that's Buckaroo Banzai.
And it just suddenly reminded me I was doing up Nova Marines for that global campaign. And I'm just thinking to myself, I gotta stop making commitment.
Yeah,
I'm like way over. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, I've got the Mantis Warrior water slide transfers. We'll go with that.
Decals.
Sure, whatever.
Okay.
But I'm wanting to go through and like actually try and do the Mantis Warriors as much airbrush as possible.
Okay.
So I've got to go through and kind of figure out green and how to get their special green. But I don't think it's gonna be too difficult. I think it'd be actually easier to do it with an airbrush than with a regular brush, just because of the way that their armor kind of looks. Because it's green, but it's almost kind of a brown green.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. I think that was a lot of fun. Thanks you guys so much for coming down.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invite. I love coming down.
We're happy to have you as guests. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, come back and close out the show.
Hello, everyone. The Masters of the Forge is now a proud member of the NPC, the Narrative Podcast Consortium. Our aim is to inspire your hobby through the rich lore of the 41st millennium. If you enjoy our podcast, then make sure to check out these other awesome shows, where you can get coverage on campaigns, Black Library, and all kinds of general topics of the 40K background.
The NGC 40K podcast also provides in-depth campaign coverage, audio dramas, and free-flowing narrative campaign creation.
The Adeptus Terra podcast also features in-depth discussions of the lore and commentary on the hobby.
Oh, and sexy English voices.
Oh, yeah.
The Masters of the Forge brings the world of 40K to life on your tabletop, with discussion on the lore, backed up by narrative-themed rules and battle reports.
Of course, this is only a fraction of the topics covered by the podcasts of the NPC. Please tune in to find out more.
Come here, boy, get the ball. Aw, come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotobix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, Zotobix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh boy, I'd better feed Max his Zotobix.
Yes, you had.
Zotobix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins
No,
and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert deserts.
Ah!
Zotobix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached. Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40K club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't. And we're back.
That's a quick episode, but that's fine.
We're back.
We're probably next episode is probably going to be a Altar of War. between. I think we're going to do a 2-player or a team game with Josh's Harlequins and other Josh's Eldar versus Craft World versus Imperial Knights and Space Wolves. I think.
Oh.
We'll
is Josh playing both sides of the table?
No, it's Josh Eads and Josh. What's his last name?
No, yeah, but Josh has both. Oh no, maybe he doesn't. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Well, he also has some Harlequins, I think, but it's Josh. Dark Eldar Josh.
But like he's got the Harlequins.
I probably shouldn't say his last name on the internet,
Anyways, but who's bringing the Space Wolves?
I haven't decided. I think I'm going to give the book to Phil.
Okay. Corgis will be good at Corgis.
Yeah,
Space Corgis.
He's very much a Space Wolf person. Yeah. I think if he had main armies, it would be Space Wolves and Death Corps, even though he has literally every army.
Yeah, he does.
He's been playing since first edition.
Yeah,
and every Forge World army.
Yeah, he's got
everything. So yeah, I think I'm going to give him the book when it comes. So anyways, I'm tired. But we're going to go play more Warhammer today.
That's right.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm bringing my knights. I was going to bring my Age of Sigmar army, but there'll be enough time for that next week when we do our Age of Sigmar 2nd edition release party at the store. So I'm going to hold off on that, and I'm going to have I should have these dorks painted by then. So what you guys are just bringing? You guys just have your Blood Angels and
I'll probably
Raven Guard.
I have my Raven Guard, yeah.
Yeah, and at this point I don't have a list, so if people want to play power level, then great. And if they don't, then I'll relax. Yeah, because I don't want to build a 2,000 point list right now.
No, it's annoying. And folks are welcome to. I think Phil's just going to bring some board games too if folks want to play board games.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see what's going on
as well. So great! Thanks again for coming, you guys.
Thank you.
And hopefully you can come up again, Jason.
Yeah.
But I will be seeing you in October when I come down to Texas. I know it's not
Texas.
Tejas. I know I won't be in the neighborhood, but you said you're probably going to come.
Yeah, because it's not that.
Maybe we'll go to the Games Workshop and play a game or something. Yeah. But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
Via con Dios. All right.
Oh!
That's okay. That was just she was empty.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Podod of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.